Hey guys, I just wanted to pop on and say hi. Some of you might have noticed I didn't upload last week. What is today? Right, Thursday? It's Thursday right now. Yeah, so I didn't upload on Monday, and the reason is I just felt like for my emotional health that I just didn't have it in me to film a video and to just put on a face. I just felt like I just couldn't fake it, and I would say like around Monday or even Sunday, yeah, Monday, I just started not feeling okay emotionally, and that's something I actually haven't even talked about, but it's been kind of rough around here. When we first canceled church, which was March 13th or something like that, Fernando, who is like our main like IT person at church, I mean, he's a youth pastor, he kind of operates as the associate pastor and does like all social media stuff and like live stream and all like media things. He had to like jump into like full on like figuring out how we are going to live stream. We'd already been live streaming, but how we were going to live stream better quality, and all this stuff with our pastor. And so he just went to work and he worked himself into the ground for 2 weeks. It was like just reacting to what was happening, and just brainstorming. And I mean, he worked sun up to sundown like for 2 weeks, and then it started affecting him. And so of course our pastor was like, go home, don't come back for a while. So Fernando's been home since that. He's working from home, so way less hours, and he started having, this is allergy season, and so that just makes it so much more like, I don't even know what the word is. It just makes it a little bit more stressful. He started having some really bad like asthma attacks. He was having a hard time breathing. So then that, you know, kind of put some fear in him. What if he had COVID? And so he was trying not to go there, but it's hard. He was having a hard time breathing, and he's struggled with asthma since he was young, and so he's kind of freaking out a little bit, but trying to calm himself. But it's hard sometimes when you get in your head. And a lot of reading the news, and Fernando loves like keeping up with that kind of stuff. I personally don't. And so those first few weeks for me was kind of surreal. Like, I'm still like asking him every day, can I go to Dollar Tree? I want to buy stuff. And he's like, no, like we have to like lock down. And I just wasn't taking it serious. I don't watch the news, and I just didn't really understand the severity. I was staying home, but I just didn't understand like how serious it was getting. And so I was fine, like really not affected by it. And then things just started getting more intense with Fernando's like allergies. So we go to the doctor. Zeal still had a cough, so we just wanted to get that checked out. We got Fernando checked out, and Zeal, they gave him Fernando a refill for his inhaler, and they said Zeal was fine. They gave him an antibiotic, which I didn't end up giving him because I didn't feel like he needed it, and his cough went away in a week. And then the inhaler wasn't really working, and so a couple more weeks later, which was this past weekend, we just felt like we should take him in just one more time to be safe. And so basically, like, the doctors asked him to go during the time where they check COVID patients, like to make sure that someone doesn't have COVID. And so all the other checkups are in the morning, and then people with breathing related issues were in the afternoon. And so he went, and it was a whole ordeal. They were treating him like he had leprosy. It was kind of crazy. I can let him tell that if he wants to tell it later. But anyway, they're like, yeah, you have asthma. You have no signs of like anything. You have asthma, seasonal allergies, and it can be fixed with over-the-counter medicine. And so he came home, and he just like felt so relieved, like he was just thanking God, because it got really hard. And it was like after he was fine, because he had a couple moments where he broke down. After he was like good, he's like, okay, I feel he'd taken a lot of time to rest and pray. It's like I just like fell apart, and I didn't even realize it was affecting me. But I guess because he was having such a hard time, just in many different ways, and he takes on a lot of things, and I was giving him all the space and the time that he needed, but that means I was taking on everything else with the kids, and I was getting no break. And Ivy was waking up a lot in the night, and Zeal is joining us in bed every single night in the middle of the night, and I was not sleeping good, and I just started getting so much anxiety. And I'm not really one to struggle with anxiety. Like, I have definitely had my moments of like where I've battled with, I feel like cautious saying depression, but I have gone through a season of depression. But I battle with sadness a lot, and never really major anxiety like I have experienced this past week. And I was having a hard time breathing, and Fernando caught it. He's like, "What, are you okay?" And I'm like, I like can't breathe. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not even gonna let fear come in, because then it's gonna like trip me out, and I'm gonna think that I have this COVID. And so I try to go to sleep, and Fernando was doing everything. He was cooking, he was cleaning everything, he was letting me just like be by myself to pray and read and sleep, which was just amazing. I'm super thankful that he has been doing all of that for me this week. And we were having a conversation about some people in our church that are just like really struggling, and I couldn't breathe. It's like my heart was so broken for like other people who are in such a worse like situation, that it's like, oh, it's just sitting on my chest. Like all these people who don't have a home, and who don't have a place to shower or a place to wash their hands, like the right shelter, and even just financially, like friends who potentially could lose their jobs or have lost their jobs. It's like I could just feel it all like sitting on my chest. And so I just like broke down. I just started crying. I'm like just telling Fernando like what I was feeling. And so after that I was like, okay, I know this like is anxiety, because it's like I can just feel it sitting on my chest. Like I'm carrying all of these things, and I feel helpless. And on top of that, I couldn't even lead worship because we wanted to keep our kids in the house, and Fernando was doing live stream, and so it was like not working out for me to lead worship. And I'm like, I feel like that's the only place where I can help people, is to minister through music, and I wasn't even getting to do that. And so it just kind of left me in a place where I was feeling like completely helpless, and not even panicked. I didn't feel panicked, but just I want to do something. But then I'm torn between helping with certain things and risking my kids, like exposing my kids to something possibly. And so it's like hard to know where to draw the line. and just trying to figure out what my place is in helping people around me. And so I just realized I was carrying all of that with me. And so I had to begin to just let those things go and just trust that the Lord is going to provide and take care of the people around me and the people who are struggling and less fortunate and don't have the luxuries that you or I might have. All that to say, this is just my little like update on why I didn't upload a video last week and just kind of where I'm at emotionally. And so I made a video like 2 videos ago and I was talking about let's go after our dreams and let's do this and do that, and I just kind of want to like rewind because we are in a pandemic and it may not be affecting everyone the same way, but we are all affected by it. And for those who are moms and you're in the house with your family 24/7, it is so exhausting, and you have to worry about their little emotions or their big emotions. Zeal, it definitely started to affect him. He saw both of us cry, Fernando and I cry. And I think that just like made him feel anxious and scared, and he was very worried. And so Fernando and I have done a lot of talking about like how we can lighten the mood in the house and make sure we are taking care of ourselves emotionally and spiritually and physically so that we can care for our kids as much as we can. And so I just want to go back on what I said in that video a couple days ago. I think the number one thing is that we take care of ourselves emotionally. Check in with yourself, check in with your spouse, check in with your kids, make sure they're fine. Get some fresh air, go on walks, take care of yourself, and just be present with your family. That's at least what we are gonna focus on from here on out, just taking care of each other. And something that was cool the past few weeks, even though it was very emotional for us, is when Fernando was really weak emotionally and physically, I was strong and I carried him through that. And then when I fell apart and I was weak emotionally, he stepped in and he carried me. And so do that for your spouse and for your family. Whoever is having a hard time, everyone get around that person and carry them and walk them through it. And I think it's also important to not like stuff our feelings down. Like if you feel something, just feel it, cry, do whatever you need to do. But let's be there for each other, check in with your friends, your family, and yeah, I pray that you guys are doing good and that you are finding the silver lining in this crazy time. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.